What's going on, guys? It's your boy Player X here from the Semi-Limited Podcast. Just want to give a huge thanks to everyone listening and tuning in all these last couple episodes, especially for the returning one. I know we were a couple weeks back, held up on hiatus and technological difficulties and stuff like that, but we're coming back into it with full force. So thank you for coming back and joining us for another episode. Last year, we were the top podcast for 40 plus viewers, and we can't thank you guys enough for such a great launch year, and many other bigger things planned for the rest of this year for 2024. We have a bunch of things on the docket for today. I got a special guest we're going to be introducing. I want to be talking about the theme for today, which is going to be predictions. So we'll get a little bit more into that. But before we do, as usual, got to go over all the plugins. So please go to our Linktree link down in the description box below to follow all of our social sites. You can click that link and it'll bring up a tab with all of our social sites, whether it be Facebook group, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you guys want to follow us on. I made sure to have all of us out there except for Snapchat because I'm not sending no dick pics out there. So be sure that you guys can go down there and follow us on all the platforms. We will be doing giveaways as we usually do. Just as a reminder, we did 7 giveaways last year, and I plan to double that this year. So hopefully we can hit these pinnacles and get out there and give more things back to you guys as well as to the rest of the community. With that being said, our giveaways will be when we hit 50 on TikTok, when we hit 100 followers on Twitter, X, or Discord, because I think we're at 91 on Discord, and 200 followers on Instagram and YouTube. We'll be giving away more play mats, more accessories, exclusive cards, exclusive merch. Whatever we hear from the community that you guys want, we'll be sure to give it back to you, especially with in conjunction with our sponsor Unplug Gaming, being able to give you guys sealed boxes, basically accessories, sleeves, deck boxes, whatever you guys need, we'll be sure to get them in there. So shout outs to Unplug Gaming in Manlius, New York while we're at it for sponsoring the podcast. Be sure to join their Discord server in the description box below as well to be a part of their TCG communities. They got Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, that Lorcana shit that just came out. Whatever you guys are interested in, they have it right down there in their Discord. So go down there, chit chat with some more people who are interested in the cards that you like. And then if you guys do meet up in store to go trade or actually compete, be sure to mention that the Semi-Limited Podcast sent you, and they'll be sure to hook you up. So shout outs to Joe and all of them at the staff down at Unplug Gaming. Also, without further ado, be sure to catch Brad, aka Mr. Perfect, our partner, live streaming on Twitch every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. His Twitch will be in our link tree below. If you've already clicked on that, it should just pop up saying Perfect Streaming. And he goes on every Saturday with more deck theories, deck crafting. He's on Master Duel Grind when we play test for regionals and OTS championships and bigger events in the New York area. He's definitely grinding out and interacting with chat as much as possible. So be sure to go catch his streams every Saturday on Twitch. Again, link in the description box below. So, with all that out the way, we can finally get into today's episode, which isn't going to be necessarily a hugely long one, but I did want to include someone that I was, I would say, using for research while I was preparing for the regional on Saturday. For those who don't know, I was playing Horus Orcus, I would say, because I think I like that one better. I was playing HBO, which has the Bistio package, but I instead took it out, and it was due to decks like Goofy Joey and Logan YGA, who influenced me as I was doing research for the event by watching their deck profiles, and I was more or less trying to get towards people who were explaining intricacies to the deck, more like interactions, card choice, maybe tech cards, why you're playing this over something like that, why is this ratio standard compared to other ratios and whatnot, instead of just the cookie cutter, yeah, you play this, you play that, and then, yeah, this is broken, but doesn't explain how it's broken, but just that it is. So what I was more or less doing all the surfing, and I came across this one guy named Logan YGA, who basically had a lot of great content, and I asked him if he wanted to come onto the podcast and speak about it, and I wanted to kind of pick his mind today. So without any further ado, I just want you guys to be introduced to our special guest for the evening and fellow Yu-Gi tuber and Yu-Gi-Oh influencer, Logan JYA.
No worries, man. Listen, you call me Logan YGA, MCole40 calls me Loganja, and so does one of my best friends, DJ. Yeah, no, I like that one too. I think they're pretty fun and humorous. So, hey, man, no harm, no foul. We're being chilling here. Thank you so much for having me on the air today. And I'm so glad to hear that some of the stuff we were putting out was helping you out. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. Tell me, what did you find on the channel that was helpful? I'm curious.
Yeah, so I was stumbling through deck profiles, and especially when I like to do regionals. So not only do I like to do deck profiles of like what I'm playing, but I also like to do or watch deck profiles of like the competitive builds out there, because I feel like the more you're learning about what other decks are out there and what they're playing or have the ability to play, the better you can play or like deck build or playing against for certain events. So I was playing, like I said, Horus Bestial Orcus, and I was really kind of questioning the bestial part of that engine. Like, yeah, it's really cool to go into Dispatter. Yeah, the Magnum Butt regained isn't once per copy, so like that's really cool just to be able to bring back a whole bunch of bodies. Druid's Worm Control is actually pretty cool with when you have cards like IP and SP in the format. So it was really cool, but like just with the introduction of fires, it just wasn't super impactful. I found out that the last of my cards were really going towards like the what do you call it, the Bellstar package. Like it wasn't really too much, so I was just kind of doing like ratios and just seeing, all right, who's playing what and whatnot. And I came across your profile, and I was really liking the way you were describing like I said, the cards that you were playing, and not only like what you were playing, but why you were playing them, the ratios that which we are at. Like a lot of people don't include that, and they'll maybe put like a 4 or 5 bit deck profile up. And yeah, that's cool just to get the information out there for people who want a net deck. But for people who don't know the deck in any capacity, it's really good for them to hear, all right, why is this card broken? Like, what is the combo line? How does this get you from point A to point Z if you don't know it priorly? You know what I'm saying? So I really do appreciate people who have deck profiles like that out.
I am so glad to hear that they're helpful, and that's the kind of feedback that I really thrive on, because sometimes it's hard to tell in the modern day media market where we're looking at, right? You see people who lean more into the short form media where you got those 4 to 5 minute deck profiles, and they just want to be in and out for their business real quick, right? Yeah. And then you've got your long form where you go more in depth on the card choices. And here's the thing, they're both providing value, just in very different ways for 2 different audiences. And it makes me super hyped to hear that this was, helpful for you. And I really do love and appreciate that feedback, man. So I'm glad to hear you're also an Orcust enjoyer, bro. Let's talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. It's funny. I started playing the latter year of 2019. I want to say it had to have been like that summer. It was, what was it? What was Dingirsu just got introduced in Dark Neostorm. That was the set. Dark Neostorm had just got released. I was like 2 weeks from that, set releasing. I had started going to locals and playing a little bit more competitively. So I was stuck in TOS format for a while, and I never really played meta. Me and my boy Devon, shout out to Devon Smith, who I usually play test with and play with, good friend of mine. When we were casual players, we always just swore to each other, yeah, we'll never play meta, we don't have to play the best deck, we're just gonna play the deck that gets us there, that's the most fun. And it was it wasn't until we went to locals and found out how shit was that it really got like that. You had to really start deck building for the most powerful decks in the room instead of just what's more fun. And Orcus had a really special place in my heart because I never tried it. I stayed away from it, and then because I played Cyber Dragon, so I would just special Cyber Dragon, contact fuse the board, win the game against Orcus and shit like that. But it was weird because a buddy of mine would just say, well, I've seen this really cool Cyber Orcus build. Why don't you give us a little bit of taste of that? Why don't you play that and see how you like it? And I was like, yeah, I guess I'll give it a shot, but I'm not really gonna like it. So I play tested it for a little bit, and let me tell you, I had the most fun with that deck I think I've ever had in Yu-Gi-Oh history, was playing Cyber Orcus and like early 2020. And it was right around then, people know, like as soon as 2020 hit, the great ban list came, and it was it was my first ban list, or like second ban list, because Mermaid guy hit the ban list before, so it was my second ban list. But apparently it was a big ban list for like even my standards. Not saying that was much, but like other competitive and normal players were saying, oh, this ban list was huge, it was just chopping TOS format apart, like they're really neutering all these decks and stuff like that. So as when I started enjoying the deck is when the deck got neutered. I went to one event with Cyber Orcus. I think I did X4, maybe X3 out of like 9-10 rounds, and then obviously didn't place, but it was a lot of fun. But I just picked the deck up like a week prior, so I just wanted to have more fun with it. So when Harp came off, I was like, you know what? Let me just see what Orcus is about. I'll play this nostalgia deck, realize it's bad, and then go on to something else. But I just really wanted it to resonate with me for sure.
No, I get you, and I gotta say this. I'd like to give Orcus a fair amount of credit right now because I feel as though it really does have a bite to match the bark with the return of Harp Horror. I would go out on a limb and make a very legit argument that right now in this little breath of fresh air that we have right before Finny drops, like I guarantee you, I really think this deck could win a regional. I really think it could go out win a YCS. It's pretty savage. Here's the problem: it's only going to be in effect for what I think we got like 2 more weeks maybe.
Yeah. I think,
so after that, we're gonna have to see how it fares. I mean, of course, you can do your post-Finny testing, but we're really not gonna know in terms of representation who's playing something like this or how it's going to perform in those long-form scenarios. But I think it's awesome, dude. I gotta tell you, and I'm a huge fan of playing the deck. And dude, I could go on and on about Orcus, but we would be here all flipping day, man.
I'm glad that it's back. Gearsu is a custom card now that Harp Horror is back, because Gearsu was made and introduced into the format after Harp was banned, which is what like the boost that it needed while Harp was banned. But now that Harp's at 1, Harp is basically at 9. So I mean, you can recycle it back 8 different ways, and you only really need 1 to proc. You know what I'm saying? So it's if you banish it with an Bistula or something, or a Crow, you can always World Wand it back and then activate it after you link it. It's a crazy card. Right. So I'm hoping that there's only a small percentage of avid Orcus lovers, because I don't want it to get too much attention. So that way they put Harp at like maybe 2 or 3. I wouldn't even mind it getting the malicious treatment where it's just sitting at 2. No, not the malicious treatment, the Mally treatment.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I love the deck. I'm glad that I played it. I went to that regional. I actually went X3 by round 5. It was actually unfortunate just because my top decks were just not what they needed to be. I was top decking a whole bunch of hand traps after not opening engine, or maybe opening not enough engine to play through their hand traps. So it was really unfortunate. I still had fun. It was still a phenomenal deck. I played a very weird array. If people care to hear about it, that are on your stream. So check out Logan, who streams on Twitch as well. But I played against Salmon Great, Fire King. I played against a Labyrinth player who I just happened to have fucking called by both games. Like, go fucking figure. I had played against a Fire King Tri Brigade that was really cool. That was Goofy Joey, so shout outs to him. He was a really good player. We came down to game 3, and he just happened to top deck a card that could, what was it? We were playing a small bird up package, and the 1 leerless monster that can special summon itself when you control nothing. He just top deck into that after searching for a Crow, and I knew the Crow was in hand. It was all he had against my Fenrir. And so he specialed that normal Crow, made Nightingale, swung directly, made the double Zeus, and then, pass turn, and then I was, foiled from there. But he just had the right top decks against my top decks. But it was a really great game, and I was so close to getting that one. But that was a great one. I played against a Manadian player. Manadian was crazy represented at that regional. It was such a strong deck. Even with the presence of Droll in people's main decks, people like my boy Ryan Kimball were still up at the top tables playing with Manadian, because it's just a new age Dragon Link. It's a Synchro Link, more or less. But
100%. I couldn't agree more. Imagine Sword Soul turned up to 11. It's a truly, it's a combo deck reminiscent of something like Infernity. It goes on. Only thing is, it's a little bit more linear, I would say. That's the one differentiator.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Combo deck. With the exception of what order you're going to activate your fucking field spells in, like everyone knows what you're going for. Each field spell section of your combo is plotted and accounted for every player. I know I'm going to Bell the Arise Heart, or the Arrival, what is it, Scareclaw Arrival. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm not going to touch your Link 1 because it's not once per turn. Like, you know what I'm saying? Shit like that. Like, everything's known about the deck. It's just whether you have the responses to it. It just plays through a lot. It's kind of like I mentioned, Dragon Link, the way it plays, where like you can play maybe 1 or 2 hand traps through it, and it encourages you to do so because it can still play through it. And now you just hand loop yourself for 2, and I still put up 2 negates. You know what I'm saying? So now you're theoretically only playing with 1 card. So
I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is. Manadiome is that combo deck that loses to Droll.
It is.
Think about it. No. Hear me out, bro. There's so many decks that are that combo deck. that loses to Droll. This is just one of them, bro.
Yeah, 100%. Its ceiling will only be as good as the ability of people to play the outs consistently, and Droll is just a card in the format, dog. There's a lot of decks that are just gonna lose to that. Unfortunately, it's just what is it, collateral damage? Like, you know what I'm saying?
No, 100%. And think about it, it's the thing that's kicking me while I'm down. And as a Drytron dude, bro, I'm getting double dick down because I'm getting smacked by the Bestials, the people like you who are maining them in your Orcus deck, and then you got your Runic players who are also slobbing on the knob with the goddamn Druis Worms and the frickin' Baldrakes and all that other crap. And I'm over here trying to alpha pitch Zeta and getting slapped across the face, bro. It's miserable.
I didn't know if they took Avo away from me.
Yo, again, this is another thing I could go off on all day about, but right now, and I keep saying this, but I keep getting proven wrong, at least recently, and I'll go on to this a little bit more detail later if we have time to. I was thinking, like, now is not the time to play Drytron. I don't think now is the time to play any one of those decks that loses to Droll, because I think you have other options out there that can get to at least a sufficient enough ceiling without falling susceptible to the Droll, and I think that's what lets you sneak in, especially with Fire about to be reigning supreme. People are gonna be main decking them goddamn Trolls. I'm telling you that right now. That is a fact.
And not only that, but with the introduction of Bonfire, it allows the budget players to play a card as Where Art Thou, because you're already playing level 1s anyway. So they can just search any level 1 in their deck. They can search out Crow. They can search out Veiler. They can search out Droll. Like, whatever they want, they can just add to their hand. The consistency of the decks going into the next format are going to be crazy. I just think they're through the roof.
No, I agree. But again, like I said, just be ready for that Droll. Now, when you're such a dominant strategy like the Fire deck is going to be, they're going to be ready for Droll, and they're going to just be dealing with it because they're already strong enough. It's not going to matter too much.
Yeah,
but
cards like Flambirds are definitely going to make a resurgence just to do things like play around Droll and have plays.
But nothing else is going to be able to, how can I put this? Like, the other versions of that combo deck, like Mana Diem is going to fall to the wayside just by comparison in terms of power level and ceiling and consistency. So it's kind of comparable to something like, I'm going to do a throwback for anyone who's listening right now to back in the day. It's kind of like if you were a Satellar Knight player and things like the Shadals were just dropping, you know what I mean? Or the Cleaforts or the Necros. Let me put it this way. No. You were a Shadal player, and Necros just came out, bro. Listen, your deck was strong, but you weren't nearly as strong and consistent as Necros was. And that's kind of what's happening right now. We're seeing it happen again. We got a Wild West format right now. There's a fair amount of diversity in what can compete in the meta. This is very similar to what was going on back in 2014 and 2015 around the time when Necros get introduced. And that's what we're approaching right now with these fire cards. Only instead of water monsters, we're dealing with fire monsters, and they are a powerhouse. Consistency through the roof. Power creep that we've not seen before in this game. And that is what we've got to look forward to. So if there's any prediction to be made right now, it's going to be ready for those Drolls. And if the Droll problem gets strong enough in these ultra consistency matchups, get ready for the crossouts too. It's very possible that those sneak in as well.
Yeah. Called by is definitely going to be a main deck staple. Like,
well, it's always has been, bro. You can't ever tell me that it's not. Called by, Sacked by the Grave, we're never getting caught with our pants down. We're always playing that card.
I remember a time where we used to play Board Breakers, my whippersnapper days.
Oh, man, you can still play Board Breakers, but it is nothing like a call by, man. There's nothing like it. It's just...
Now, resolving call by is just crazy. Because when you say response after they just drop that hand trap down with the force of God, knowing that it was supposed to stop you, and it doesn't, you just love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But moving on here for you guys, just want to make sure that we get into some of these talking points. Actually, before we get into that, are there any sponsors or shout-outs that you would like to announce or give some shine to while we're talking chit-chatting before we get into it?
100%, bro. I appreciate the opportunity to shout out my homies at Dueling Guard, and then I've got one other group to hopefully shout out. Give me 2 seconds. I gotta pull it up. Yeah,
take your time.
All right, because this one's a recent one, but
I would rather it be accurate. I can always go back in and edit.
All right.
Except for everyone who's watching live right now, you guys will be the only ones who know.
When did I send my... Oh, I sent myself that message. That's right.
You talk to yourself?
No, I'm looking at my emails. Totally. Here it is. Is it Arcane Fortress? Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Okay. I am good to go.
Was that your middle school account, Arcane Fortress?
Yep, totally. No, this is the most recent people who reached out, and they're sending me some stuff right now, and I'm giving them a little bit of airtime too if I have the opportunity.
Fair enough. There it is.
All right. Let me. Oh, damn it! I did it again. I accidentally minimized your window. Hold on.
Are you worried?
There we go.
Take your time, dog.
All right, now we're all set. Okay. I'm gonna take it like I'm gonna do a 3 count, and then we'll do. All right.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Yo, thanks, man. I'll shout out the Arcane Fortress people real quick, as well as the folks at Dueling Guard and the Grand Duelist, my boy Jordy Wang. Shout out to all of them. And of course, shout out to Logan JY on YouTube and Twitch. You can go find those linked somewhere, or you can just search them up, bro. And I just want to say thank you once again for having me on, bro. I'm so excited to talk a little bit about the game, get a minute to step back from the day-to-day and talk about this game that we all play, all right?
Absolutely, and I appreciate you taking the time out your day to come out here and talk to us and have this discussion, because I know that you're actually live streaming right now because you're a busy man, and it was not to say difficult to get this set up, but we were definitely going back and forth just trying to make sure it happened. I'm very, very flexible. You seem to be very, very flexible, so we were able to make this work. But like, yeah, you're a working man for sure.
Oh, you and me both, my friend. But hey, it's just the way we live. It's the way we live. We gotta grind.
Absolutely, absolutely. But getting into the details tonight, though, like I said, today's theme is predictions. So we will be predicting a couple of different things today, and one of them being predicting what other reprints we might see in this newly announced Rarity Collection 2 Electric Boogaloo. All right, so with that being said, are there any cards that you feel should be... Oh, hold on. With that being said, let's go into the lists that are currently leaked, and then we'll talk about it from there. So the current leaked cards right now that are absolutely confirmed for Rarity Collection 2, which drops in May of 2024, is Access Code Talker, Magician Souls, Silent Magician, and Silent Swordsman, which haven't had reprints in like forever. Droll and Lockbird, that we were just talking about. Ghost Ogre and Moonlit Chill, which just missed the tin from the prior year. I think there was what, the 2022 tins, where all the hands got reprinted. So those ones missed it, with the exception of Ogre, because they got the Prismatic Secret. We also have Phantasme being reprinted in the alt art, which was reaching to be a $10 card in its super form, not even to speak of the secret. The alternate art of IP, so the Bike Rider IP, which I'm actually a fan of because I hate that gold rare. Speaking of gold rare alternative arts, Rescue Cat and its alternative art will also be reprinted in the set, as well as Appaloosa, which we already had in Ultra, but it's going to be good to see those secrets. I really hope that they nail the secret rarity for this one, just like they did the last one, because the secrets were so clean for the last set. I just want them to like project that into the future, and you know what I'm saying? So we also have, yeah, like they were really, really nice. I don't know if you like them.
I've got it pulled up on screen right now, and I'm just taking a look at these reprints, and I do have to say, it is a good fair mix of both competitive and collectible in this set. It really is. Bro, can I be a little critical though?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's think about what this is going to do to some of the prices on the secondary market for some high-end collectible cards, bro. Those Starlight IPs and Appaloosas, this is a slight little hit to that, because we're looking at the same thing in the form of the QCRs for those two very same cards. Now, IP, yeah, absolutely, you're getting your alt art, but I don't know, bro. This is a direct swing in that direction.
I think the only difference between this one and like reprinting something like the other IP was the other IP had a higher rarity print in a core set, whereas this one will be the highest rarity print for an alternative art. So I can kind of give it to it there, where it's going to be the highest rarity printing of this artwork. But I do agree with them not high rarity printing cards that already have like exclusively high rarity cards within a core set, like reprinting Ghosts when Ghosts were supposed to be, you know, off the table years ago. Right. These Starlights and core sets are now being printed in the Starlights at Home in rarity of QCR. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So I just feel as though that's what's really going to be wrecking these markets. Because look, even because the card list, if you look at the card list as a whole, even all of the planets, we were just talking about Vanadium, they may have printed Drone Lockbird, But that's because they printed every single planet that you're ever going to need for any of these archetypes. You want to play Scareclaw? Boom, the field spell's there. You wanted to play Kashtira? Boom. You can cope and play your pressure planets right there. If you wanted to play tier elements and cope even harder, boom, the primeval planet Perlorino's right there. And the same with Vanadium. Like that field spell is kind of bonkers too, which it being like not almost once per copy. So I don't know, it's just they're giving us access to these cards, which I like, but it's just I don't want them to give us access to cards that already have a higher rarity exclusive. Like Access Code has a Starlight Rare and a Battle Legend side set. So what are we gonna have a QCR again? Like that could have went to anything else. Or if that's the case, if you knew you were gonna do it in Rarity Collection 2, because I'm pretty sure you're a smart company and you are projecting what you're gonna be doing and when, then why are you doing it in sets like Battle Legend when that could have gone to any other card? You know what I'm saying? But but that's just me. What do I know? You know. But with those cards being said, what do you think should be definitely in Rarity Collection 2 coming up? That hasn't been announced, or what do you think will likely end up in the set that you kind of want to be in this set?
So I'm going to give you some strategic predictions, and then I'll put in a wish list item at the end. So my strategic predictions are the Orchist cards that were missing from the first Rarity Collection. I anticipate we will see reprints for Galatea, Harp Horror, and some of the other, not all of them, but some of the other Orchist monsters in Rarity Collection 2. I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling pretty confident in that prediction. Well, does that make me feel with my Ulti Galateas? Well, I'm holding my nuts in my hand here. I guess it is what it is. But
yeah, I still have 3 Starlight Rise Hearts, so.
Now, praying for you, my friend. It's okay. My Starlight Rukulos cries right there with you. But right. I will say this. I think that another prediction that, let's see. So we've got our planets covered. The Access Code's a good reprint. Maybe we'll see the tier main deck monsters. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm dubious. That's a good question.
So.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I had cards like, all right, if we're gonna reprint Rhytheart, Pressured Planet, which is the Kashtira field spell, let's reprint Theosis. Let's reprint a Rhytheart, which is now a $20 card, because not only was Infernoble coping with it for it being a Fire Warrior, but also Fire Kings is using it as a special Fenrir normal summon, the one that negates Fenrir search for Rhytheart. If your opponent has Droll, now you have a fire monster in hand that you can give up, and your Fire Island can pop the monster on field. But I mean, like, it's got utilizations in other decks, but this would be a great place to put it in, so that way everyone has access. It's been over a year. I think with the introduction of Phantom Nightmare will be a year from Photon Hypernova, which arguably in my heart is the best set of all time because it gave us a Rhytheart. May he rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's just, I feel like it'll be one of the better things going for it, honestly.
Oh man, you should have put this on with a trigger warning if you were going to let me know that we were simping for a Rhytheart out here. My god, the bane of so many people's existences. All right,
they can even do cards like Soul Release, which will be popular in next format, that probably has like one super rarity and then like a whole bunch of commons. They could do things for Edison players like reprint Substitute, because that shit's a fucking $35 unlimited rare, because it just core set is just one printing, like things like that. Like they could do a lot of different things. Even if you look at the core set for Rarity Collection 1, like they did a whole bunch of like outside things. I think even side things like Downward Magician and like little odd cards were getting like QCR, or like I would say the 7 treatment, which is all 7 rarities.
I have an interesting prediction. What about the Dragon Rulers? They haven't seen.
That's actually a really good one. I haven't heard that one. I would actually feel all of them could come back. You know what I'm saying, at that point. By May, we will definitely have the next ban list.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like they might just be like they've been slow rolling these guys off the ban list, and I think we've seen them stuck in structured decks, but we haven't seen a nice rarity printing of these guys since the Megatins are back, and not even the Megatins before they were Megatins, they're regular tins back in 2013. Absolutely. And those are actually, I'm gonna look it up as I talk. I'm gonna say those they have to be a couple bucks, you know what I mean? I'm thinking like I'm gonna guess my prediction is gonna be $5 to $7 a pop for the Dragon Rulers in their secret rare rarities. And I'm not sure, don't quote me on it, but we're gonna check right now. Oh man, maybe I overestimated, because I'm seeing, Tempest would be cheaper because it did get the random super reprint.
Yeah, I think it was like what, Mystic Fighters or whatever it was.
Title, we're looking at $7. The only one. Wait, is Title the one that's not legal? Am I crazy right now?
Title is the banned one. Title's the water one.
That's so crazy that Title is still banned.
I honestly thought Redox would be the one that they wouldn't bring back. I feel like the Monster Reborn would be too crazy than like the whatever it does, like special summon from hand or whatever.
I wasn't too far off for Blaster. We're looking at around $6 or $7, and then Redox. Where's my boy Redox? Redox is cheap too, bro. If you guys can get your hands on these Redox tins, bro. Oh, I love old product. Do I have one behind me? No, I don't think I have a Redox tin sealed, but I freaking love. Oh, it's $2 for him. So I guess the only guy who's spiked up right now is our boy Blaster. But I think this would be an opportune moment to reprint them. Because also I'm gonna flag the fact, and I'm again shouting out the boy Robbie Cole, bro. Huge fan of watching Robbie's stuff because he always has the craziest, most creative deck list that he features. And I saw some TCG and OCG Dragon Ruler builds with the Dragon Rulers at 1. Now I hate it because all Dragon Ruler decks are just inherently worse Dragon Link. That doesn't lose to Bestials, I'll say that. But I love these cards, man, and I love this deck. And honestly, it would be an opportune time to bring them all home together. Maybe even throw in the baby rulers in there too, bro. Just think about having that spiced out 2013 Dragon Ruler deck put together with all QCRs, bro. That would be fire, dude. That'd be fire. And they did the same thing. Here's some evidence to back up my prediction. They did the same thing with Spellbook of Judgment last set. So it's very possible that they throw out a bone and a throwback to the very same format that they just did in the most recent Rarity Collection. That's my prediction though, bro. And mind if I throw in a quick wishlist item too? Or let's talk about this. How do you feel? Let me ask you this first.
I agree. I agree with all that. I also think they could do something like crazy because we're gonna get voiceless soon. They can do something crazy and go out of left field to do something like Seravis to help the ritual cards. I know they just did preparations are right, but they can do pre-prep and right. You know what I'm saying? To give access to like those 2 powerhouse cards for ritual decks. You know what I'm saying? They could do another reprint of oh my god, what's that bitch? The one level 2 Diviner the Herald. They could do another one for that. That's like another $20 fucking Mega Tin secret, and I think a $29 core set secret. Like, it's insane. So like they could do a whole bunch of different cards, I think, just to support that archetype as a whole, or that, I guess, mechanic as a whole, because it's just such a weak mechanic as standstill. You know, it just needs so much support just to get it through the door.
No, I agree.
But what's on that wish list of yours?
Okay, yes. So a wish list reprint item. You know, I kind of have to think about this one a little bit. I feel like they threw me a bone with Ben 10 in the last Rarity Collection. We also got that beautiful Herald of the Arclight. If I was going to go for a wish list item, I would want it to be something that is played in the Drytron Arsenal. And if I were to pick a single card from that list, I'm clearly trying to buy myself time to think about the best one. I already got it. Ready? Diviner. Easy. Free money. That supports Silent Fork, and it's a throw out to Drytron. Throw us a QCR Diviner.
I think somehow, some way, some shape or form, I think generators might get support too. I don't know how.
Generators.
I don't know.
Interesting.
For some reason, it's just been making tops, and like Konami just does this thing where it's like it'll throw all of these like weird archetypes of bone every once in a while, like how Ghost Tricks will get like a QCR and like a side set for some reason. Like, who the fuck is playing Ghost Tricks? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I do. I know what you mean.
I don't know. I just random thought off the head. Quit. Do you think that Rarity Collection is going to perform better, worse, or just as well as Rarity Collection 1? Like, how do you think that it's going to place in the standings of it all?
It's so hard to tell. It's really. I've honestly given up with trying to predict the Yu-Gi-Oh market because it continues to shock me. I would say, if I had to guess, it's going to perform slightly less good than the first Rarity Collection did. It's inherently not going to hold as much long-term value as the first Rarity Collection. That's just off the rip.
No, I can agree with that. Like, just because of the fact that, I mean, if it's supposed to be the 25th anniversary, you can't do it 2 times in 2 different years. Like, it's supposed to be the 25th. You can't have your 25th. You're celebrating your second year of your 25th anniversary. Like, come on.
Right.
I think that it should have been what I think they should do the Rarity Collection every year. I just think they need to drop this 25th anniversary shit. Like, it's all right, cool. You had a whole year where you paraded it around in our face, and you dropped it in every single fucking set that you possibly could for the entirety of the year. Yeah, we get it. Now let's move on to something else. Like, let's get our regular shit back.
Exactly.
I think that it'll perform probably. I think it'll probably perform just as well as first, because I think people are gonna thirst for it. And then it'll bottom out worse than how the first one was. Like the first one right now, I think is like what, $90 for a box, almost upwards of 100, not even including the shipping. So like you looked at that, and only how it's going to appreciate in value as the time goes on. When you got to incorporate that, people are going to want to come back to these. If they incorporate maybe a Rarity Collection 3, a 4, or 5, like imagine the collectors and how hard it's going to be to go back and go get 1 and 2, to confirm that they're going to keep doing this for just the people who are hoarding these things. Like, I know 1 will probably be the best of all time. It obviously smashed as the best set, I think, in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. And that's including sets like Rise of the Duelist, sets like Power of the Elements and shit like that. It was a fucking reprint set, probably the best, massively, encouraged set of the year, and it was crazy. So it's hard to match that. I just don't think it's going to be able to live up into the shadow of its prior self, personally.
No, I'm right there with you. I think we're pretty much in agreement on this one. However, it will still be a fun set to rip open, and I'm going to give the same advice that was given to me for Rarity Collection 1 to everybody else. Get in early as you can, and get your hands on close a link as possible to a distributor. And pre-order sealed product. Have fun with it if you want it. And hold the cards. Hold the cards for long-term investments, except for the mid-tier rarities. Get rid of those as quick as you can, because they have proven to not hold long-term value.
Yeah, but they even changed the structure of the set to a new structure.
Oh, really?
So it's going to have like one, I think it's either an extra secret or an extra ultra, or maybe it's both. But I know they're including another card in the pack. Because if I'm not mistaken, that slot was taken by your higher rarity upgrade. So instead of taking that secret slot away from you, they're giving it to you, and then the second secret has the option or the chance of being a upgrade pack. You know what I'm saying? So that way you still get your secret. So you're still gonna get one extra card, or maybe it's an extra ultra and a secret. I could be wrong, but it's one or the other. You're still getting more for every pack, so definitely hold on to it. The secrets I definitely would hold on to, but as he said, the ultras, the supers, all that low rarity shit, yeah, get it off as much as you can, because especially on break day, you want to make sure that those shits are out of your fucking hands as fast as possible. Exactly.
You don't want to be caught holding the bag. It's really not worth it in this situation.
Speaking of that, this will probably be the last thing we say about Rarity Collection, because I want to get to the other topics. But is Rarity Collection something that could be game breaking to budget players, or is it is the hit to the secondary market, or to these vendors and people who actually I shouldn't say this is the best career of vending, backpack vending or stuff like that, but the people who do sell cards to kind of make their investment back, is this not an investment anymore? Is it really just being accessed? Because I'm not saying that access to these cards is bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that every budget player shouldn't have $100 and be able to go and play the best deck in the room. But you have to understand that if we're gonna have $100 deck, that includes the extra deck, that includes the side deck, that includes all of these powerful cards becoming accessible. Imagine if access code right now was a $3 card. Imagine if SP Little Knight was a $5, $10 card. You know what I'm saying? That's what's gonna make it more accessible to the budget players, or I guess the more entry level players. But imagine the hit to the secondary market. Imagine how the whole box structure has to be set up just to be able to plus now. You know what I'm saying? You have to include way more secrets, way more ultras, lose some of the commons. Rares would have to be done away with on side sets, and it only have to be, secrets or ultras or better. You know what I'm saying? It just have to be a whole different restructure. I just don't think it's worth it at the end of the day. But I do like when they do sets like this. I don't know how you stand. Do you think it'd be something that's better for budget players, or do you kind of side with the market? Because I understand, I see you over there on the TCG app looking shit up, so you must know how the market works.
I mean, I don't follow it super closely anymore nowadays. I do still have my pieces that I like to collect from time to time, but I will say that I think that it's an overall fine thing for the game, but it if you're looking at it from the angle of, yes, it does so much to support new players getting their hands on expensive cards. Yes, to an extent. Konami ensures that they're always still securing the bag because they're constantly creeping the game, and at a competitive level, if you want to play the greatest decks in the room, then you're still going to need to buy the newest cards, period. So it doesn't do anything to their bottom line doing this. It only helps, and it doesn't really, in the long term, do enough for the player base to improve the affordability of the game. So it's, I don't know, it's like, it's nice, I guess, kind of deal if you look at it from that angle.
Yeah.
But I still love it, I'll get some stuff for it. If you look at it
just from a product standpoint, like, this is a point in time where, like, every person gets, like, what they want. Like, if you're a collector, you get the shiniest version of every single card. If you're just a person who feels like, damn, I wish I didn't have to pay $15 fucking for a common version of Ash at that point in time when people were doing so from a fucking structure deck. You know what I'm saying? Like, they now can get a super version of Ash for, like, what, $3? You know what I'm saying? $2, $2.50. Maybe throw it in to get some fucking shipping. You know what I'm saying? You're paying like $4 maximum at the end of the day. Like, so it's crazy to see, like, the amount of people who are benefiting from these sets. I just don't know. It just is such question marks. Like, the secondary market can be planned out to a certain extent, because, like, obviously I treat it like stocks, and obviously not that can't be predicted with 100% accuracy, but, like, you can do the best job you can at predicting an estimated outcome, and just sets like this. Just I being someone, because, like, let's just say I take myself for example. I'm very, very bougie when it comes to the game. I don't like switching cards out for other decks. So let's say I have like 4 or 5 decks put together. I'll go get 4 or 5 4 or 5 play sets of Ash Blossom. So that way I don't have to keep setting all of my cards out, swapping them from different decks and shit. I'll go get 4 or 5 play sets of Imperms. I'll go get 4 or 5 play sets of Bell. I'll go get 4 or 5 play sets of Talents and all this shit. So, like, I'll spend the money to go do it so that way, or, like, I'll trade and shit like that too. But I'll go and invest my time in getting these cards because I just have it like that. So by the time Rarity Collection was announced, I had the ability to let go of these cards, but I'm like, it's whatever. Like, these are the highest rarities of these cards. They'll be fine. Nothing's gonna really touch them. And then Rarity Collection dropped, and everything got hit. Hand traps got hit. Staples got hit. And I'm not talking about in a bad way, because obviously people now have access to them that never had access to them before, or, like, more of a chance at getting, access to them. But for the secondary market holders like me, I could have made way more money if I had just moved them 2 weeks prior to the drop date. Like, the difference was insignificant. It was crazy. Like it was like night and day how it was. Like, I was, maybe Ash Blossoms were floating around the $9-10 point, and then now they tanked all the way down to, like, your core set secret maximum crisis fucking Ash Blossoms right now are like $10. It's insane to me. Them shits used to be $125. So, like, this shit does influence the market, and some would say in a negative way. But I don't know. I still gotta vouch or feel some sort of empathy for these vendors. Even at these Yu-Gi-Oh events, you take the backpack vendors out, people who should go, quote unquote, go get a job or whatever. But you go look at the Yu-Gi-Oh vendors who are putting on these regionals, who are putting on these YCSs, who are sponsoring all these OTS championships and shit like that. And they got to make their money. They got to make their overhead. They got people there. They got to make rent for the event. Right. They got to put for the power for everything, or probably not the power, but, like, they got a lot of these expenses and shit like that they gotta dish out for, so they gotta make their money back in some way, shape, or form. And if the card game doesn't do well financially, like, who knows what the outcome might be, especially with them not being able to give us prizing,
we're not having
cash prizing. I think this is really the big difference. But is there anything else you want to say on Rarity Collection before I start rambling away?
No, bro, it's okay. Last thing I'll say about Rarity Collection again is I've given my honest thoughts and feedback about it as a set. I would be curious to know how people feel about it as well. But I still personally plan to get my hands on some of it because I think it's just like a fun thing to do in terms of the hobby. So again, as a serious investment, I don't think it's as good as Rarity Collection 1, but I think it's a fun thing. Let's move on.
Okay, yeah, no doubt. Also on today's docket, we have the archetypes from Phantom Nightmare. I don't know if you are familiar with what's been going on in the future for our TCG little timeline, but Phantom Nightmare is
coming up swiftly.
Yeah, it's coming right around that corner, and it's going to be the newest archetype has been released with its descriptions. Are you familiar with the archetypes that are being released?
A little bit, yeah. You mean like the newest thing that they just announced?
Well, they did just do that. Was the TCG exclusive?
Yes.
So we get exclusive versions. So for those who don't know, the TCG sometimes gets exclusive imports or like drops of new fucking cards. So like the OCG never has a chance to play with them or like conjure some shit up. So we kind of get our own like our pick as you play.
Take the first stab at it.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're the first crack at it kind of guys. So we also had what was it? Voiceless Voice was a ritual-based archetype. We had the Goblin Biker archetype that we all knew about, which was an XYZ archetype, and then we have now newly announced is the Ashen archetype. And with the descriptions being released and like the card art, which obviously won everybody over in the Yu-Gi-Oh community, although they may seem underwhelming. I don't know if you watched that video where they were explaining what they did, and we can get into that at a later episode. I don't want to get like too deep into it, but considering the type of format that we're moving into, I think that even though they're underwhelming, that they may have upward potential. Similarly, how Branded Despia first started out, where like Luber dropped and we got like so we Luber dropped and we had like things like Branded in Red, and we had all these other side things that did well, but like obviously it wasn't a whole deck. And then we got the introduction of Branded Lost, and then we had the introduction of the extra deck monsters, and then they got a structure deck which gave them Branded Fusion and Nira Jade, both staples in the deck. And like as time progresses, the shit gets crazy. And Brandon now is like I would say a solid tier 2 pick for most people who are trying to be competitive with the way the diverse format is. So that this Ashen shit I think might really be something of a sleeper deck that people might want to pick up on now, that might, if not now, be beneficial. I think beneficial later on, the way that the format's heading.
I couldn't agree more. I think that you're riding the exact correct wavelength. It has a lot of potential, bro. It has a lot of potential in those Ashens. And everything else in that Finny set, bro, oh man, I am horrified. Just to put it shortly, I'm horrified because I think I said it earlier when we talking about Orcus, right? Like right now we're in a pretty cool period. There is unseen diversity in the game. That's about to change, man. It's going to be clear and dominant, clear as day. I wish I was lying, but I'm not.
Mm-hmm. But it's crazy because, like, although most of the support cards from the set are going to be utilized in like their proper decks, so like, obviously there's what was it, like a Raid Raptor piece that's coming out that is going to be coming out. Like sprites get EMP, which is I'm kind of like really anticipating. We also get the new Ice Barrier card, which helps our Swap Frog become a 1-card totally awesome, which I'm super.
Yo, I'm hyped for that too. I'm hyped for that too.
Ready to put that back in my deck now that even though we don't have Elf, RIP another real one. We have some way of like putting up better boards and like surviving longer as a mid-range deck. So like there's also cards being like utilized that are going to be like hitting cards like this. But like, do you think that any of these sets archetypes will ever have what it takes to stand up against like the meta like today? Like, do you think something like Voiceless Mage is going, or Voiceless Voice is going to stand up against something like Manadium? Do you think that this Biker Goblin shit is going to stand up to something like Labyrinth? You know what I'm saying? Let's just put like, or even another XYD deck or XYZ deck like Kashtira. They activate a shifter and like, welcome to the format, buddy.
We're not even the format. We're still talking about tier 2 decks right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything you've said so far isn't even a meta deck for going into post Finny, unfortunately, or at least like they are, but you would have to consider them tier 2 at best, because even I have to face the freaking music. that you know, Orcust, it's going to have to prove itself. Again, I'll make the same point. The only thing that it really has going for it is the ability to not be losing to Droll, and everything else in the current format will be losing to Droll. It's one of the only few things it has. But then again, you could also make the argument, then just play a Shifter deck, Smile, because they're also losing to those as well. But
I love Shifter.
No, I respect it. It's all good. I will say this: the Silent Forces are a worse ritual archetype than Drytron. I think that's not even an argument. It's not even. It's like, it's cool and it's cute. And yes, of course, the one thing you always can discertain is that yes, for a ritual deck, and quote me if I'm wrong here, I'm not sure. You might know the archetype better than me. I think they do have a 1-card combo. So that already puts it, you could argue, ahead of Drytron, which has 0 1-card combos. It is impossible to do a 1-card combo in Drytron. So you could say that that makes it a better deck. No, absolutely not. The trade-off of the lowered ceiling and the clear and obvious, clear as day choke points, it sucks, bro. It's not that good. It's cool and it's cute, but it's nothing remarkable. If you want to play a ritual deck, play Drytron right now, and there's so many different builds and ways that you could do it.
Yeah. So, but like, with that being said, like, I kind of want to ask, like, what's the more important question, if you will, is like, is creating access to cards that we already have via reprints, like Battles of Legend, Rarity Collection, all these other side shits, Duelist Power, Dual Overload, Dual Devastator, whatever the fuck, Duel, whatever they want to call it. Is that more important than creating newer, more broken cards like tier limits, like Sprite? I think that like at its peak when we did have Elf, like Kashtira, that doesn't have any absolute negates, that doesn't have a single negate that it can play, but it has crazy disruption on your opponent's turn, like as well as its own turn, so like it just grinds your opponent out. Like, is creating more newer archetypes but never printing them again like this, we're just one and done, leading to most, supply and demand spikes, secondary markets going crazy, people paying more than what they're doing and pricing more people out of the format? Or like, what do you think we should focus on more as a player base if we were to go and make a unified complaint to Konami right now?
Wow, that is a big question. I think that the unified complaint should be the pricing out and the prizing. I think that how they're choosing to distribute certain cards in certain sets, like, obviously it just shows that their true priorities are the bottom dollar, as any other money-making businesses are, so I can't fault them for it, but I wish they would take a page out of the books of Nintendo when it comes to Pokemon or any other of the TCGs, where the cards are just infinitely more affordable and they give cash prizings for their tournaments. It's that simple. So that would be in my love-hate letter to Konami. That'd be front and center. Probably see it in the subject line.
Yeah, the only reason I asked that is just because if we give more access to these reprint sets, and we just start printing more reprint sets, then I would say core sets, we kind of slow the game down that way, which I do agree with slowing the game down. It is going to affect the way people play within formats, but because it is core sets and new cards like that, newer cards coming out, that changes things. I think that we're getting them less often, and that will slow the deck down, or the format down inherently. But the cards that come out still need to be able to compete with what's cracking 6 months ago. Because you give any Yu-Gi-Oh player, like the greats, 6 months to lab anything, and you tell them, like, hey, there's no ban list for 6 months, here's the fucking card list or the card pool, go do whatever you want and create something, they wouldn't even need 6 months. Give them like 2 weeks and they cooking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%.
I think that, although I would argue that creating access to these cards is important, that we need to start making better cards and stop wasting all these slots for cards that don't matter. Like, all these commons don't even have to be cards in the game. They're just printing cards to fucking print cards at this point. So for that, print less cards, make them better, and you'll slow the format down inherently as you start printing cards that haven't been printed yet, that people don't have access to yet, and that aren't like $28 a copy, like an ultra rare copy of fucking Snatch Steal that just came off the list. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's the shit that I'm more anticipating or will complain about personally.
No, I get it. And I think agree to disagree in terms of priorities. It's all good.
No, I agree. And there's also the last talking point before we start closing out the show that I wanted to go on is the prediction for the pricing for all this. Like, speaking of price, we have all the rage in the Yu-Gi-Oh community being centered around the price point for entry, competitively at least, for play in the game itself. Like, you have to spend, I'm quoting what's his name, House of Champs, when I say that he put out a tweet saying that the typical Yu-Gi-Oh budget for a duelist is competitive is now $285 for a playset of Bonfire that just came out. You're paying $440 for a wanted engine that's already been out in Age of Overlord that's, super crazy overpriced. You're paying $240 for 2 Little Knights, which is actually $260 now because it went up since his last post. And that's because it's mandatory to play 1, but you arguably want to play 2. And then that's not including all of your trips to all these events that you want to go play in, your stays, your food, your travel costs, any of that shit. So like it's becoming expensive as a quote unquote hobby. Like even as a hobby, like this is a little bit out of hand. You know what I'm saying? So like, do you think that it's getting out of hand as well, or is it something that you think that we're used to from Konami and that it's not out of the ordinary and it's like, arguably a little bit, more expensive than ever before?
Every Yu-Gi-Oh player is a masochist to some extent because we allow Konami to treat us this way. We like it. We like the pain. We're getting smacked up a little bit. I tell you what, this is not new behavior. It's not even surprising. It's unfortunate still, though. It's still unfortunate. I think that, man, I wish I could say that there's greener pastures on the other side and that maybe the tides will turn, but with people continuing getting priced out and just with how ridiculously expensive this game is becoming as a hobby, it doesn't seem to show any indication of stopping. So it's up to the players to decide when they want to exodus and be like, yeah, you know what, we're no longer interested in paying X amount for so little in return. So I'm curious to see when that eventually happens. But I mean, again, and that all comes from someone who also still drank the Kool-Aid. Like I still love this game, and I still think that the benefits of getting to see friends and competing, the competitive nature that comes out in some individuals, it's worth it to an extent in that way still, at least for me right now. But I don't think it will be that way forever. It's not something. Then again, you've got that collectible aspect. Who knows? I guess we're gonna have to wait and find out. Jury's out on that one.
No, big facts for sure. I mean, and then I think my last question for you, or I guess it's a two-parter, so I'll just ask the first part first, and then we'll get your second one. Is why do you think most other TCGs, i.e., games like Digimon, One Piece, even games like Pokemon, can keep their entry price low or down somewhat, while still keeping their competitiveness up? With Pokemon regionals now having more attendance than ever before, One Piece getting super crazy. What are they called? World Cups or World Hats? Whatever the fuck that game is. I don't really watch that game, but like they're getting super crazy competitive now, and like they're really ramping up. While Yu-Gi-Oh is arguably more expensive than ever. So like, how do you think this difference is critical for the other one? Like, is there a way that we can get them, or should they start more molding more towards us?
I'm only going to speak to Pokemon because it's the only one I can speak to with at least a slight degree of certainty. It's just a difference in the price of overheads, genuinely, and how much profit margin that each company is seeking from the player base, or how much they're willing to spend to get to a certain place. Konami is willing to spend significantly less, and always has been willing to spend significantly less in terms of investing into the game and into the player base, compared to something like Pokemon, which invests heavily into the prize support for their tournaments, continues to, like you said, keep the prices down for the player base, and isn't trying to reap as much money, or are having alternative revenue streams where they're not as reliant on these things. Like, obviously, Nintendo and Pokemon have infinitely more marketability than Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't even think that's an argument. I think that's just common knowledge. Yeah. So I will just say this. I know that we're running up on time, so I'll try and conclude.
No. Feel free.
No, I'll say this. I think that, frankly, Konami just has to they have to stop juicing the player base to an extent. It really is just a matter of they need to keep their earnings at a certain level. The game isn't growing as fast or as significantly and doesn't have as much staying power as something like Pokemon. So what do they have to do? They have to raise prices. It's simple economics, and it's a damn shame. But if I was going to go all pessimist, I would say in terms of long-term profitability, unless they do something to change or to attract a significantly new, fresh player base, which I think is difficult to do with an IP that is so heavily baited on nostalgia, and we know that by the fact that the Rarity Collection is one of the best performing sets, and the fact that they milked $1,000 out of people for silver copies over a platinum Blue Eyes, whatever they want to call it. So we know where the priorities are. We know why the prices are raising. Again, if you're a real foreseer, if you're looking long term, I would say that this doesn't bode well. And again, that's just, and again, my opinion. It's all prediction. Doesn't really mean a damn thing.
Yeah, I agree. That's the whole point of that's the whole theme of the day, my man. Is this prediction? Because that kind of leads me into the second parter, I guess, is like, is there a way that it can be saved and then fix these issues? Absolutely. Or are we just at the whims of corporate bureaucracy, and then this game is inevitably just going to implode in itself because it's going to be pricing its own players out of it?
That's right. So how long are they going to continue to squeeze until there's a pop? That's kind of what we're asking right now. And I would say that if they want to stop that pop from happening, if they want to loosen the grip a little bit, the first way to do that is to incentivize participation. You have to make it more interesting. You have to include cash prizes or school scholarships. School scholarships is a great way to incentivize younger players to enter into the game, and it's something that Pokemon does quite well for their younger leagues. I think that if you, and again, Konami, you can feel free to reach out to me if you want to hire me for your performance or your strategic planning teams. I'm more than happy to assist you with the common knowledge that you should. Maybe I'll say this: maybe hire me for social responsibility, because I'm trying to look out for your players a little bit more than you're clearly willing to. None of my ideas will make it past the big brass. Regardless, to tie things off, incentivization of participation is your clear best first step, and then for long-term success, there's going to have to be some sort of transformation. You know, I think the game saw great success with Duel Links when it first came out, great success with Master Duel similarly. Now those things again are proving to keep hold of a certain player base, but it's not producing that sort of long-term growth that the company would likely, not virality. You know, you're not getting something viral, so you need something that would be able to go viral to an extent and get a lot of good publicity to save it. Those are my big overarching thoughts.
True. They're gonna have to pump in. They're gonna have to pump a lot of money into that promotion too. It's just not gonna. That's not a simple step. Even things like their world cast for Worlds, their cast for the YCSs, like they all can be improved. Like they're just, I don't want to say they're not trying, because they are pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, but it could be better for the amount of money that we're spending as a player base into the game, and for the amount of money that they make, not only in the card game itself, but in like the company itself. Like you can put more money into these YCSs and get more views online and get more attendance in the door by making them more extravagant, putting more side events out. Why are we having times where I'm sitting there at a YCS at home watching 40 minutes of them on the screen just playing the same card back and forth, trying to figure out what the card is, or just sitting there with the screen of everyone sitting there playing? Like, why are we not watching like a side event? Why are we not watching Edison players? They had like a 40 flight fucking Edison tournament at Nationals that no one even knew about because it wasn't advertised about, and people said that they would have played or at least entered if they had known about it. And that's just crazy to me. Like, you could have had a whole chunk of people playing in that and you just didn't. I don't know.
That comes down to mismanagement, 100%. They don't hire enough people. They don't pay people enough well. They are relying on archaic methods for some ways. Konami's the business, just the business of the Yu-Gi-Oh team that runs the live events is a little archaic and not growing with the times, not not being run properly. 1,000%. You make such great points, and these are something that a company that was interested in investing in strategic planning and continuous improvement, these are changes that they would have already realized they need to make and would be making if they had any interest in doing so. But they don't have interest in enhancing the quality of their end product because they know who is going to still be purchasing it, and it's not really going to make that much of a damn difference. So they've done their cost benefit analysis. They've realized that it's not worth it to try and make these changes, and that should just be a testament to the business at large that, again, they don't have you as players' best interest at heart at all. And it's, again, I've been so pessimistic in this, but that's because I'm really trying to offer a very real perspective that gets people thinking about the truth behind this game. And I'm not trying to get people to leave because, like I said, at the end of the day, it's still very enjoyable. It's a fun thing to do if you have the disposable income to enjoy it, or you're a vendor who's making fat stacks because you know your market moves. You know, it's a niche. It's like a content creation niche. It's the same thing. It can be your you can be a big fish in a small pond and just have a good time that way.
No, I agree. There's definitely different ways to play the game, or at least invest the game, or being interactive with the game in shape or form. I take it to, I guess, personal experience. I used to be, or I guess I still am. I'm an umpire for District 8, which is a section of New York State that I have jurisdiction under to go umpire for baseball. And it's because I just loved baseball. Even as a kid growing up, I was like really close with my dad, who passed away, and like we were like really invested in baseball like together. So I always just kept it like, you know, near and dear to me. And even when I was too old to play, I got into umpiring so I could still be involved in the game in some way, shape, or form. And that's, I guess, what the key of this is like you can always be involved in whatever shape or form, whether it is playing in like a competitive form, whether you want to be the best there ever was to ever do it, whether you want to be as big as a name as someone like Pac or Jesse or fucking Josh Schmidt and any of these other players, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a chance for that. Whether you just want to be the best person in like your friend group and just be the best out of the four of you guys who, you know, comes out on top every week, or, you know, maybe you just want to go to a regional and just see if you're the best in the state. Like, everyone wants to have something different. Maybe you just like the cards, you just want to collect them because they look cool, you know? I'm going to collect these Ashen cards just because they look cool. I don't even care if them shits is trash.
I think you're putting out such a good final point, though, and that's just to really focus on self-improvement and self-goal setting as far as you as a player or you as a person. If you are interested in investing in this game, you can be in it to whatever degree that satisfies your need to fulfill a certain goal. Whatever, and that goal should be making yourself happy and feeling satisfied, like you're having enjoyment. So for some of us on the competitive side, that is going out and giving it our all in a tournament, or going out for a weekend and spending time with friends in that competitive setting. It is that is what makes the game valuable to us, and to some others it's the collectible aspect, which is equally as valid. So however you're soliciting value out of this game, and if you continue to do so, then, you know, you can go in as hard as you want in order to get that level of satisfaction. I think it's the best way to put it.
No, I agree. That's a great, like you said, final closing point, talking point, and I agree with most of the points that you've talked about. So it's kind of cool to see that we've both been on the same page. I'm usually having to go back and forth with certain people because we're so on one age and on the other, you know what I'm saying? So it's really good to have a genuine conversation with a consensus that we both share. So it's been great talking to you guys. I know most of you guys have been listening, have been chatting with us for almost an hour, so it looks like we're starting to run out of life points. Before we close out today, though, I just wanted to remind you guys about the sponsored content again. Go to that Linktree link down in the description box below. Click on it, follow all the sites. Giveaways going on. We did 7 last year, want to do 14 this year. So be sure to not only like, follow, subscribe, hit the ding bell, all that stuff, but be sure to share it with a friend so that way they can get on the wave. And you guys all know how it is when you're like the first person to support someone that you know is going to blow, because you want to be on that wave. This is that wave you want to be on. So start surfing this way, boys. And then not only that, be sure to check out Unplugged Gaming if you're in mainly New York or anywhere in the central New York area, CNY. Be sure to check them out in their Discord, which is down in the description box below as well. And also be sure to check out Brad, aka Mr. Perfect, our protege over there on the Twitch aspect, who will be live streaming on Twitch, as you guys are also viewing and hearing this on every Saturday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for those who are listening outside of the US. We'll be streaming, going on like deck profiles, theories, and all that stuff. be sure to chat with him because we have a Friday night wrap up where we go ahead and talk about everything that happened last stream and plan for the stream ahead. And you will probably will find your way into a podcast episode if it's crazy enough content. So be sure to check us out there. And also, a reminder to everyone that our schedule drops will be as followed as we're getting into this new year. We have podcast episodes every Tuesday and Friday with short form content drops every Wednesday and Sunday, being Perfect Pulls with Mr. Perfect, aka Brad, every Wednesday, and then my local legends being every Sunday, which will be as strict to that schedule as we can. And then as well as, like I said, live streaming with Brad every Saturday on Twitch. With that being said, I just want to thank our guests for coming on real quick and donating their time and their audience to us for the cause. And is there any last minute shout outs or mentions you want to have before we get your final thoughts on the show?
My final shout out is to you and the semi-limited podcast. Everyone, if you're not on this wave right now, he said it's so much better than I could. Shout out to Mr. Player X on this front. X, my man, thank you so much for having me. This has been an absolute pleasure. Guys, I've been your guest on this show, Logan JYA, Dry Kage, orchestrator, friend of the machines. My friends, I hope to see you at an event in the near future or on YouTube or on Twitch. Thank you all so much for tuning in.
Yeah, no problem. We'll be sure to be showing love, and every time we're out there, we'll be sure to show all of our guests our love, whether it be when they're streaming on YouTube or Twitch. We'll be sure to give subs, donate to chat, promote things, whatever it really comes down to. We'll be sure to show love to those that are showing love to us. So thank you for coming on. Any last thoughts on the show that you want to get off your chest, or anything we talked about that you might want to get the last little quick bit in?
Nah, dude, this has been a wonderful time. Drytron or Dietron. Drytron best deck. Let's go. Peace out.
All right. And where can these people reach you at before you bounce?
Logan JYA on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all that good stuff. You'll find me if I want to be found under that name.
I like this guy. All right, my man. I appreciate you coming out and giving us some time. It's been a great pleasure talking with you. We are all out of light points, guys. Thank you so much for listening. And until next week, I am Player X, and you've been listening to the Semi Limited Podcast. Thank you, and good night.